the more that you can segment or target the most likely prospect, the better the response is going to be and the less chance there's going to be a rejection or a negative impact. One of the advantages of direct mail, which I wanted to put in there, is it transcends any of the privacy restrictions that you get online now that are becoming more and more strict with who you can contact, how you can contact, how you get their information. A postal address is public information. You can put anything you want, obviously almost, into somebody's mailbox without violating any laws or privacy information.
Hey everybody, I'm Ken Newhouse, and I'm going to welcome you to the Get Clients Now podcast, the show where high-growth consultants and professionals come to access the newest and most effective methods and systems for online marketing, advanced sales and persuasive communication strategies, and automated marketing funnels. And if you're wondering if the Get Clients Now podcast can help you get more high-value clients, enjoy more sales, build a massive tribe, and make more money, you're absolutely going to love this show.
Newhouse's work completely blows everything else that we've ever done with Google out of the water.
I have been looking for a way to grow my presence online, and what I've viewed from Newhouse's work was something that certainly is faster than anything I've seen before.
He says he's going to do something and he does it. He does it in the time frame that he says he's going to do it in. It's exciting when you talk about the results that you're going to get, and you can believe his word because he follows it up with action.
The Newhouse is direct, he's to the point, he tells you what's on his mind, and he backs his words up. From what I know now, from working with him, he's passionate about his work, and he backs it up 100%.
What I like best is you offer something that no one else has out there, which is a pretty comprehensive approach about marketing a system.
If somebody asks me, should they use the Newhouse's team? Absolutely, because you're going to get the important information that you need very, very quickly.
On the internet, on the different marketing techniques, I've never experienced anything like this.
I would definitely recommend Ken Newhouse for someone who's serious about growing their business. I think that your results based on the numbers would at least double the sales in a very short time frame.
Hey everybody, Ken Newhouse here from kennewhouse.com. I want to welcome you back to the Get Clients Now podcast, where the one-size-fits-all marketing model is dumb, the client-centric business model is king, and industry-leading business owners and professionals share strategies that have helped them accelerate brand acceptance and skyrocket marketplace significance and status so you can build your tribe with certainty. I want to remind you that we're now using MailChimp to support the Get Clients Now podcast. With MailChimp, you'll find all your marketing needs in one place. Bring your audience data, marketing channels, and insights together so you can reach your goals faster. With MailChimp, you can promote your business across email, social, landing pages, postcards, and more, all from a single platform. Today is episode number 345 of the Get Clients Now podcast, and my guest today is Brad Kugler. Brad is the CEO of Direct Mail 2.0, an ad tech company that is revolutionizing the direct mail industry. And in just a bit, you're going to learn how, according to Forbes magazine, direct mail, yes, direct mail, is once again a powerful method that gets you clients, and it's storming back as one of the most effective strategies for attracting high-value clients, customers, and patients for your business. The new direct mail is giving business owners like me and you a powerful method for generating new business. And as we come out of the other side of this coronavirus shutdown, this new and exciting methodology, according to Forbes, is going to be the difference maker between those who continue using methods they were using to get new clients before the pandemic shut everything down, and those who integrate this new direct mail marketing strategy. Now, we're going to welcome Brad in on the show here in just a few minutes, but I want to share a quick story with you that will hopefully encourage and inspire you during this time. Now, as everybody in the Get Clients Now Nation knows, I was involved in a head-on car accident back in 1994 where a fully loaded dump truck hit me head-on as I drove through a construction site. Now, this dump truck was carrying literally over 10 tons of steaming hot asphalt, part of a road resurfacing project the state of Missouri was doing there. And the impact from that accident was so severe, it should have killed me instantly. Now, I'll put a couple images up on the episode webpage on kennewhouse.com for this particular episode, so go ahead and take a look at those images. They will shock you. Now, there is a little bit of blood. I took the least bloody photos that I could find of my Jeep Cherokee, and those are the ones I'll be using. But nevertheless, it was a tragic and severe accident. Now, just to give you a point of reference, at this point in my life, I'd actually been practicing for just over 3 years, practicing as a chiropractor. I had just recently moved back to Missouri from Newport Beach in California, and that accident occurred less than 3 months after I'd invested an enormous chunk of my savings into the purchase of a new house and 2 chiropractic clinics from a doctor that had moved his house and his practice to a larger city in Missouri about 30 miles away. When I made that purchase, one of the clinics was up and running, and the other clinic had actually been closed for about 6 months, I think 6 or 7 months. The house and the clinic that had been closed were located in a small town, that would be Viburnum, Missouri, which was in a very, very rural part of Missouri. And the other clinic, the one that was up and running, was 28 miles away in a much bigger town with a whopping population of like 1,500 people, and that was Steelville, Missouri. Now, just to give you an idea of how small the town was where I lived, the population was less than 700 people. And if you're like a lot of the people that I tell, you can't imagine living in a town with only 700 people. But every time I tell people that I lived in a town as small as Viburnum was, they actually assume that I live in like a shack or a mobile home or whatever. But that wasn't the case at all. In fact, I had the biggest house in town. I had the biggest house, in fact, in a 30-mile radius. This house was on a 2-acre lot. Actually had an in-ground pool that was 10 feet deep with a diving board on one end. And on the shallow end, it was perfectly made for kids and I guess for people who couldn't swim. You could just kind of lounge out and play there. The house was enormous. The house actually had 5 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms. I've never again, even having bigger houses than that now, I've never again had a house with 7 bathrooms. I don't know what these people were thinking. Dr. Jack, I don't know what he was thinking when he built this house, but I tell you what, it was an enormous house, especially for somebody who's 28 years old. Certainly, it was way more house than we needed at that time, but who's complaining? So we moved into the house, got everything moved in, started seeing patients right away in the clinic in Steelville. And again, that's the location of the clinic that was up and running when we bought everything. But the clinic, if you remember in Viburnum, hadn't been open for about 6 months. So what we did is we started a complete gut job, a complete remodel of the entire building before I wanted to reopen the practice. So for 3 months, I had a crew of guys working on putting in new equipment, moving walls around, installing new plumbing and fixtures, everything, new carpet, new tile, all of it. So they finished all of the remodeling, everything's done, and then the day of my grand reopening of that practice, that clinic, that facility, that location rolls around. That's the day I was hit by the dump truck. Now, if you've ever lived in a small town, or if you don't know anything about how small town people operate, or how small towns operate, my grand opening was a really big deal. That tells you how small the town was, right? But listen, the mayor of Viburnum was there. The fire and police chiefs were there. The city council members, all 3 of them, were there. The high school principal was there, and the editors from 2 newspapers were there, all for the quote-unquote big ribbon cutting ceremony. Now, I left my house early that morning to drive the 28 miles to Steelville to see one patient. And after seeing this one patient, her name was Ardell Evans, I will never forget it. The lady was like 80 years old. I finished up some paperwork and started my drive back home. When I left the office in Steelville that morning, I had an hour before the grand reopening was supposed to officially kick off. And so I had just enough time to run home, freshen up a little bit, and then drive over to the waiting crowd. Now, virtually everybody in America knows that small town people are, for the most part, really good, kind, and generous people. And the people in Viburnum, no different. It's funny to think about now, but there were literally over 200 people at the clinic waiting for me for the grand reopening. We had music playing, we had balloons for the kids, we had all kinds of food, we had a band there. I mean, this was like a full-blown event, and because nothing happens really to speak of in small towns out in the middle of nowhere, this was kind of a big deal, right? I even had 5 or 6 new patients scheduled to see me later in the afternoon, after the event was finished and wrapped up. And this day was going to be huge for me. It was going to be huge for my practice. It was going to be huge for my future. But listen, my grand reopening never happened because less than a mile from the city limits of Viburnum, I drove through a construction site. I drove through a construction site that was manned by the same crew I had seen and talked with for almost 3 months as this site moved along the highway day after day after day. But less than a mile from my house, less than a mile from all those people who were waiting for me, less than a mile from where my wife and my 2-year-old son Kenny were waiting for me, I was hit head on by a fully loaded dump truck. Like I said before, I should have been killed instantly from the impact, but by the grace of God, I survived. Now, just to give you an idea of how severe the impact was, imagine this scenario. The left front wheel of my Jeep Cherokee was under and slightly behind the driver's seat after the impact. The driver of the dump truck actually broke his neck. The car was so crushed around and in me, I was literally impaled, that the firemen couldn't cut me out, and it took 2 massive tow trucks. Now, these are the kind of tow trucks that actually tow semi-tractor trailers, 18-wheelers, but it took 2 of those to pull my Jeep apart so they could get me out. Now, I haven't had a lot of world firsts in my life, but I do have one that I'm kind of proud of, kind of not, but it is what it is. I was one of the first people to ever receive a blood transfusion at the scene of the accident. And that transfusion continued on the Lifeline helicopter flight to St. Louis University Medical Center about 90 miles away from the scene of the accident. Now, after arriving at the hospital and after an initial 8 hours of surgery, I ended up in a coma for 9 days. My wife, my parents, my friends and family members were all told that I would most likely die. But by the grace of God, I did not. I had a total of 18 surgeries as a result of that accident, and I could not practice as a chiropractor for over a year. For the first 6 months after the accident, I had a condition known as diplopia. Now, what is that? Well, that means I saw everything in double, like when you cross your eyes, right? It was very unsettling. It meant I couldn't drive, I couldn't hardly walk, I couldn't do anything. Literally, it was one of the hardest, most challenging things I have ever experienced that I've ever gone through. In addition to that, I literally lost everything financially due to no fault of my own. And just over 25 years ago, I ended up going through business and personal bankruptcy as a result of this accident. Now listen to this because this is relevant. The day before the accident, I was flying high and living large. I was making phenomenal money and my life was seemingly perfect. And then, like I said, everything fell apart due to no fault of my own. Now, thankfully, a man named Joe the German, Joe was my late father-in-law, but Joe was a man I will forever be grateful to, came to my aid. And yes, Joe helped us financially, but more importantly, about 6 months after my accident, right when my vision was back to normal, he walked into my house one afternoon and he threw a copy of a little magalog called Forward Nutrition onto my lap. Now, Forward Nutrition, like I said, was a magalog. You've probably seen these. It looks like a magazine, but it's really got advertising in there. It's selling nutritional supplements and things like that. But this magalog featured a doctor by the name of Julian Whitaker. It might actually still be in publication today, I'm not sure. But I want you to imagine that you're sitting on your couch, multiple injuries, still in the very early stages of recovery, right? You're feeling down. Very successful chiropractor 6 months earlier, and now you're in the process of, your world is collapsing around you. And in the room walks a thin, gray-haired man, clean cut, probably about 5 feet 10 inches tall, very thin, but had somewhat of a pot belly, a man from Berchtesgaden, Germany, a man with an accent that sounded exactly like Arnold Schwarzenegger's accent. I could still hear his voice when he said, "Ken, learn to write like that," which meant, learn to write like the person who wrote this magalog. Learn to write like that, Ken, and you'll never want for anything financially. He had a very deep voice, had a very heavy German accent, very kind man, but he was very intimidating. But that magalog actually featured Dr. Julian Whitaker, but Dr. Whitaker wasn't the one who actually wrote the magalog. A man I didn't know at the time wrote all those magalogs, and that man's name was Clayton Makepeace. Clayton Makepeace is a professional copywriter, and even today, even though he's been retired for quite some time now, Clayton Makepeace remains one of the greatest copywriters who has ever lived. And so I began reading those magalogs, and then as Joe has suggested, I started rewriting them by hand. I had a lot of time on my hands, couldn't see patients, couldn't work, so I started rewriting them by hand, studying them, and later come to find out that learning to write like that, one of the best methods you can do to learn how to write great copy like that, is to take great sales letter or great copy and rewrite it by hand. And so that's what I did for month after month after month for several months. Now, I'm telling this story again today for a very, very important reason, and it's this. I went from having a fabulously successful business and an incredibly happy life with a wife and a 2-year-old little boy one day to literally losing everything, including almost my life. Certainly I lost my health the next day, all due to no fault of my own. And in spite of all that stress, the difficulties, challenges, the uncertainty, I came out of that the other side better off than when I went into that challenge by the grace of God and because of a man that invested the time to share sound advice with me. Speaking of Joe had grown up in Berchtesgaden, Germany, like I said, but he grew up during World War II. And if you remember, Berchtesgaden was Adolf Hitler's summer home, right? In fact, Joe's father owned a barbershop in that town, and routinely, this is no joke, this is a true story, routinely, the SS would enter the shop, the barbershop, with bomb-sniffing dogs, kick everybody out, right? Clear the whole place out, and then in would walk one of the most evil men that history has ever known. And as the war was nearing an end and the Germans were being decimated, Joe was inducted into the German army at the age of 10. He was given a rifle and told to shoot anyone who came down the particular road where they placed him. Now, when Joe was 17, he ended up coming to America and he came with $100 in his pocket. And by the time Joe was 25 years old, he was a millionaire. So Joe had actually been through tough times, and I knew that. And when he told me that the situation I was going through would pass and that eventually my life would regain a sense of normalcy, I believed him. Joe encouraged me not to feel sorry for myself. And I've got to tell you, under circumstances like that, under circumstances like what we're facing today, it is easy to feel sorry for yourself. It is easy to get mad and upset. It's easy to feel uneasy, even scared about the future. But Joe the German, again, as I lovingly call him, got me to focus on my future. Eventually my injuries caught up with me and I was forced to retire from private practice. And so I practiced after the accident, after my recovery. When I came back, I practiced for another 14 years, but eventually it was just too painful and I couldn't do it anymore. And so in 2006, I retired and sold everything. But the lessons I learned from the most difficult challenge that I've ever faced, and the fact that I went to work on myself during that window of time where I wasn't able to go to work, where my business wasn't able to operate, the fact that I set about to take my downtime and invest it in improving my value to the marketplace set me up for even greater success down the road. Had Joe the German never brought that copy of Julian Whitaker's Forward Nutrition to me and told me, learn to write like this, Ken. Take the time that you're down and invest it so you can make yourself more valuable to the marketplace. I don't have a very good German accent, but you get the picture, right? Invest the time so you can be ready to hit the ground running when things start to get back to normal. If he hadn't invested the time in me, who knows what I'd actually be doing today? Who knows, right? So in spite of the difficulties you're facing right now, get busy. Go to work on yourself and your business right now while you have the time. In addition to that, keep reaching out to your clients, your customers, and patients. Send them encouraging emails, call them, write blog posts that encourage them. That'll help you in your inner man stay sane. It'll give you a strong sense of purpose and you'll build a stronger bond with your tribe. You got to know that most of your competitors aren't doing this, which means that if you'll do what you can to encourage your tribe, if you'll do what you can to stay relevant and top of mind with them, you're going to come out the other side of this and you're going to be doing great. Talk about staying relevant. Look at what Apple is doing. They've closed all their stores for now, which is hurting them financially big time. Boo-hoo, right? Okay, seriously though, think about this. The business, Apple, is losing hundreds of millions of dollars. They're losing tons and tons of money like the rest of us. But Apple is run by some very, very intelligent people, some very smart people, because they realize, like you, that this pandemic will end soon. And when it does, people are going to be buying and spending money again. So Apple can't sell anything right now, but they're staying relevant and top of mind by building an app that helps people figure out if they might have coronavirus or not. In addition to the app, they built a website that does the same thing because not everyone has an iPhone, at least not yet. So ask yourself these questions. How many more new iPhones and iPads and MacBooks will Apple sell as a result of taking steps now to remain relevant than they would have had they not built the app or the website? Next question, ask yourself, what can you do right now to reach out and encourage your tribe? Encourage your marketplace. Stay relevant and top of mind with your tribe, with your list of prospects, with the marketplace that you serve. Listen, we all want to stay informed about what's going on, but I'm burnt out on watching the news continuously. I'm past that, and I'm sure you are too, and so is your marketplace, your prospects, and your tribe. So follow Apple's example and get busy staying top of mind, delivering value, and working on yourself and your business while you have the time. Who knows? It is entirely possible that during this shutdown, you're going to figure out a new and better way to make your business more profitable. But my guess is that you're already on it, which is one of the many things that I love about the members of the Get Clients Now Nation. You are the cream of the crop. You're a mover and a shaker. You are a person who gets things done when others can't. You're the type of person who continuously looks for ways to improve yourself in your business. The kind of person who invests in himself or herself by reading and listening to audios like this podcast. You're the type of person who invests in books and videos and trainings so you can make yourself more valuable to the marketplace. You make a habit to invest so you can make your business more profitable, and I have an enormous amount of respect for that. Now, just quickly before I bring Brad in on the show, I want to give a shout out to my friend Paige Mead of Paige Mead Recruiting, not only for listening to the coaching instructions I gave her, but for taking action immediately. I recently did an interview with Paige for the Get Clients Now podcast, where we talked about her new book, The Chocolate Room. It's a great interview, by the way, and it'll be released in about 2 weeks. But listen, Paige has an incredibly successful recruiting business, and right now, it's pretty much shut down. So before my interview with Paige, I looked at her website, and I actually do this with every guest because in a lot of instances, I can actually give them helpful advice about their copy, their use of social proof, like testimonial videos, the layout of their website, whatever, right? And I look at it this way. These busy professionals, my guests, are all very, very successful people, And they're helping my followers and subscribers, you, a member of the Get Clients Now Nation, by delivering high-level methods that get you clients. And so for me to give them some helpful suggestions in return is the least I can do to say thank you for being so generous to my tribe. So the other day when Paige and I were talking, I suggested that she invest in Dr. Cialdini's book, Influence, the 5th edition, right? And then I told her to watch the video trainings on my website that teach you how to create killer social proof-based video testimonials so your clients, customers, and patients can literally do the selling for you. And in less than 2 hours, Paige had purchased the book and posted my recommendation on LinkedIn where it got a massive, massive response. Listen, Paige is the kind of person that I love to work with, and quite honestly, based on over 25 years of experience working with top business owners and professionals, and some not so successful, the people that take action quickly are in virtually every case the ones that end up being the biggest successes. So Paige is taking action. In addition to reading the book, she's also gone through the video trainings that I put up for free on my website. And that, my friend, is one of the many reasons for Paige's massive success in business. So kudos to Paige Mead, and if you're like Paige, kudos to you too. Okay, let me quickly mention that you can access the free video testimonial training that I just mentioned for Paige by going to the homepage of my website, www.kennewhouse.com. And at the top of the page, you're going to find a big blue button right under the headline that says New Video. These are brand new videos that I just made. And what I did is I actually took my video testimonial system. This is the one we were selling for $997. I updated it, I made it better, and now because of everything everyone's going through, I'm giving it to you free. So if you decide to go to my website and watch these videos, please understand this is part of a campaign to generate interest and build value for a new class I'm releasing called Social Proof Profits. Social Proof Profits is arguably the single most effective training you can get on how to use social proof in your video testimonial and sales videos, in your ads online and off, in your marketing campaigns online and off, in your sales presentations, in your storytelling for business, and in your communications like your email, on your website, on social media, marketing collateral you hand out, and so many more that we just don't have time to mention here. And do it in a way that makes your entire marketplace feel like they know, like, and trust you in multiple ways, not just the way I'm showing you here. And it also shows you how to use the sales control marketing methodology to sell things to those leads. And that is a very, very new and very, very cool type of marketing that simply did not exist back when I first began deploying these methods 25 years ago. Most of these methods and the technology we have access today didn't exist then. So in Social Proof Profits, I'm going to teach you my most advanced strategies, where you're going to learn how to utilize the great psychological strategies that have been proven time and time and time again by real marketing masters. And then we're going to integrate cool modern tech stuff with it to make it even more effective, like 10x. The tech stuff is easy tech stuff. I do all my own. It's usually like press buttons and drag and drop type stuff. So if you want to be thought of as the good guy in your marketplace, and if you want to really attract not just prospects, but if you want to attract clients, customers, or patients, and if you want to learn how to turn those prospects into clients, customers, or patients in a way that they find that it's valuable to them, even in and of itself, meaning that they find your marketing to be so good that they actually feel it's something of value, kind of like the way you hopefully feel about this video, right? If you want to learn how to do that, then Social Proof Profits is for you. It's not for sale right now, and you'll get an early notification of when it's available if you want to. And you should see under this video a little button where you can click it and you can opt in for my early bird list. Now, the reason you're going to want to do that is twofold. Number one, you can get an early notification of when this goes on sale so you can beat everyone else. And number two, this class is going to have very limited seating because I'm going to teach it live. And what that means is every week I give you lessons on how to build this machine that sort of fuels your sales and drives your business. And after each lesson on every week, we have a group Q&A call. So because those calls are going to be live, meaning that you and I are going to be on the phone with the rest of your classmates, and I'm going to answer your questions directly and literally help you with exactly what's going on in your business as it relates to this stuff, I can't have a ton of people in the class. This is my first major promotion in over 2 years. Every single promotion I've ever done that is in this style has sold out within a matter of days. So I think it's very likely that this one's going to sell out as well. You can watch them as often and as many times as you'd like, copy them, download them, and if you want to share them and help someone else out, be my guest. You know, if you've got clients or customers that you want to stay relevant with, that you want to deliver value to during this time, maybe you'll share this new video training with them, maybe you won't. but share something of value with them. Okay, now that we've covered all that, it's time to talk about the new direct mail, the Direct Mail 2.0, with our featured guest today, and that'd be Mr. Brad Kugler. As I mentioned at the outset of the show today, Brad is the CEO of Direct Mail 2.0. Direct Mail 2.0 is an ad tech company revolutionizing the direct mail industry. Brad has a passion for leading and growing businesses, helping others, tinkering with new technology, and meeting creative, industrious people. When not doing the prior, you're going to find Brad investing his time with his family, usually out on his boat, fishing or just having fun, or traveling the world to some new place that he's never been. Now, before I welcome Brad in on the show, I want to quickly mention that he's created a killer free training titled How to Generate Tons of B2B Leads for Next to Nothing. And I've included the URL for that training in the show notes on the episode page for this particular episode, number 345, on the kennewhouse.com website. So in addition to watching the free Social Proof Selling video testimonial videos, be sure to invest the time to watch Brad's training as well. You know, it's not often that I meet someone who can show me new, exciting, and proven methods to get you clients, and Brad has actually done it. He's actually shown me something that I wasn't aware of before I met him. And so that's what we're going to be covering on today's show. And so if you're ready to welcome Brad in on the show, let's roll. Okay, everybody, this is Ken Newhouse, your host, and today I've got Brad. You want to go by Brad or Bradley? Bradley Kugler.
Brad's fine. Bradley is what my mom calls me when she's upset.
Well, Brad is the CEO and founder of Direct Mail 2.0, and on behalf of myself, Brad, and the members of the Get Clients Now Nation, I want to welcome you to the show. Just covered your bio. It's a pretty extensive, pretty awesome bio, but anyway, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ken. It's a pleasure to be here. I love talking about marketing and technology, so this is fun for me.
Now, guys, I got to tell you, when I first talked to Brad about this, it took me a few minutes to really understand what it was he was offering. And at first I thought, no, this isn't going to work for the show. But then once he actually said, listen, let me break this down for you because I'm slow like that sometimes. Then I got it. And once I got it, I'm like, we have to have him on the show. You guys have to hear this because this is unbelievably powerful. And the topic of our show today is going to be, we're going to be talking about direct mail, but not just direct mail as you may understand it to be, but about all the ways you can combine direct mail with technology and the possibilities with that. And it's astonishing to see the results. And one of the things I'll do later in the show is I'll give links to his site, the Direct Mail 2.0 site. But also on there, he's got video testimonials from lots and lots and lots of people. And that's one of the things that I am a staunch advocate of. In fact, we teach that in Social Proof Profits. You got to get video testimonials, but we'll dig into those. He's got a lot of them on the website, guys, so I'm going to encourage you to check those out at the end. But let's do this, Brad, if it's okay with you. Let's start off with the first couple of questions that I ask all of our guests. First question is, if you could take a minute or so, maybe 2 minutes, give us your backstory. You've built an enormously successful company. You've got an enormous number of highly, I wouldn't even say delighted, I would say thrilled customers that are just giving you rave reviews for what you're doing. So give us an idea of kind of how you got to where you are now.
Well, the story goes back, I'm not a young man anymore, but I started out right after college. I went to college in San Diego and Miami of Ohio. But after that, I started out doing marketing. And quickly I went into the family business, which was entertainment distribution. And we were selling VHS and CDs at the time. And, me being the entrepreneurial technophile that I am, I started putting them online in the late 90s, selling on eBay, selling one of the first people to sell on Amazon. And I was one of the first people invited to sell VHS and CDs on Amazon in 1997. They were just books for a while. So we did really well. I got the opportunity. I met Jeff Bezos a couple of times. I've been to Amazon. And I think you can imagine the end of that story. Pretty much everyone knows, because I don't know anyone listening that's still buying CDs or VHS or DVDs anymore. So that business sunsetted about 4 or 5 years ago. The writing was on the wall for a decade. It was known about, and in fact, my brother and I even had an article in the LA Times in the business section of the cover some years back saying that we're the last guys selling VHS in the world. But fast forward to about 2017, I was looking for opportunities, and I love marketing and I love technology. And some of you guys may have heard of Postcard Mania, run by Joy Genduza. She does a lot of direct mail and marketing for dentists, say. And she asked me to come spin off a product they've been developing into its own company. And to kind of simplify the product, what it does is it's a direct mail technology that is getting people who use direct mail a 23 to 46% lift over traditional direct mail. So if I said to you, hey, listen, I've got an investment for 10 to 15% more, I can get you a 23 to 46% increase in your normal return on your marketing. Would you do it? It's a no-brainer answer, and the answer is yes. And I am almost consistently hitting those numbers. Now in marketing, there's no guarantees, but we do that most of the time. So we've taken this product and we've gone out to ad agencies and other printers, and we're teaching them how to do this through our marketing platform. So not to run on too much, but that's how I got to where I am now.
Okay, and so just guys, just so you'll know, this is not a product, and I want to make this clear up front because this is an important factoid. This is not a product where you would literally call Brad and say, hey, sign me up. You have to go through one of his partners, which would be an ad agency or like a printing company or something like that. But you need to understand the power of this because all of his partners, you may not come across one of his partners, the people who can deliver this service to you. So if you understand about it, then you'll be that much more excited about contacting a partner and rolling this out. And especially after you go onto his website, I'm going to give that link again at the end of the show, and look at all of the social proof. All these people, they're not selling anything. They're just simply telling their story. And these are fabulous, fabulous stories. Like I said again, let your clients, customers, or patients sell it for you so you don't have to. But you mentioned something. I just want to chime in on this real quick. You mentioned VHS tapes. And we're talking about social proof and testimonial videos. The very first time, Brad, and this was after my accident, everybody knows I was hit by a dump truck, and this was my saving grace, and this is how mean old Dan Kennedy helped me come back from the brink of a disaster. But my first testimonial video, I guess you could say, that I put together had 91 or 92 people on it who gave me testimonials, but it was on VHS tape. And I bought 1,000 tapes for $4 a piece. So I was mailing out the sales letter I would write, the quote unquote free report. I ran commercials overnight on cable television. Talk about, you say you're old. You're not. I don't think you're as old as I am. I'm 54. But, going back, time flies, doesn't it? But going back, I just remember before this really took off, I put my parents to work. So my parents, who actually owned a glass company, I put them to work, and they were stuffing these big giant envelopes with the bubble wrap in them and a VHS tape, and I would send that out and then just keep sending out. But VHS, how long ago? You said only 4 years ago you stopped doing that?
Well, we stopped selling DVDs, but we sold VHS, I think, until almost 2011 or 2012. There was still some market for it, and that's when we got the piece in the LA Business Times.
Yeah, I kept one out of all those. I actually, just for the sake of wanting to keep it, I actually kept one VHS tape, so I still have that, just to remember. But anyway, let's look at the second question. Was there an individual or experience? You kind of mentioned the gal from Postcard Mania, but was there an incident or a person that really inspired you or motivated you or kind of was the catalyst for you to go where you are now? You mentioned that gal earlier, and if so, how? She
definitely is. The funny story is she actually worked for my father in the VHS business in the early 90s. And Joy was one of our top salespeople, very productive, always on the phone. And she ended up getting pregnant and left and was doing phone sales from home to watch her kid. And she built Postcard Mania, which is a pretty big business. It's a $50-60 million a year business, basically starting at home, reselling print for other companies, and huge inspiration to me, And I have had the fortunate circumstance to work with some really amazing people that I've kind of gleaned different things from others. And I think one of the things I've learned the most in entrepreneurialism is the persistence. And if you're going to fail fast and fail often. And I've surveyed almost every business owner I have met to ask what the number one secret to their success is. Almost always it's a persistence, and there's a fine line between insanity of persisting on an absolute go nowhere path and making small gains and persisting through the roadblocks till you get to your ultimate goal. So I don't know that there's one person. My life has been enriched by dozens of people that have taught me dozens of lessons. So it'd be too much time to credit them all at this point.
That's a good lesson to learn, though. So anyway, all right, let's do this. I want to get to what you do in just a minute, but first I want to cover a couple points about direct mail. I want to cover a couple of the facts that we pulled up online. First of all, a lot of people think, and rightfully so, that in some instances, direct mail it doesn't work anymore. And I'll say this from my own experience. If you roll out a huge direct mail campaign and you don't know what you're doing, you can end up losing a lot of money. But if you do know what you're doing, and if you utilize a service like we're talking about today with people who know what they're doing, you can end up making unbelievable amounts of money. So with respect to that, I want to go through sort of a rapid fire deal with you, Brad, and that throws people sometimes when I say that. And in this case, I'm going to read a fact, and then I want you to give a 1 or 2 sentence response to it. And these are facts regarding direct mail. And once we go through this rapid fire, one after another kind of fact statement tennis match here, then what I want to do is I want to dive into direct mail 2.0 because I know people are chomping at the bit, so to speak, to get to that. So here's the first fact. 41% of Americans look forward to checking their mail every day.
Absolutely. In fact, you and I, being a little older than probably most of the people in our country, that has been a growing increase over time. The millennials and the younger people are bombarded by digital messages, hundreds of emails a day, texts, web ads. They're coming back to the tactile, not tactical. And they look forward to getting something in their mail, in the mailbox that they can open and touch. So 100% agree. It's coming back. It's not maintaining. It's actually increasing over the last few years.
That's true. And there's actually a psychology. When you get a package in the mail, it stimulates that center in our brain it's like almost on Christmas or your birthday when you're opening up a package. And that's why packaging in direct mail is really important. But that's a different subject altogether. Okay, here's the next fact. And this actually goes to the point of talking about millennials. And by the way, guys, I verified all these facts. I double checked them, so they're legitimate facts. 65% of millennials pay attention to direct mail advertising. They actually consume it. They read it. They pay attention to it.
Well, and on the flip side, the average person in America is 2,900 marketing messages per day. So when you get a piece of mail that you can touch and feel, the likelihood to remember it versus the 2,900 other messages you get driving down the road or on your computer or your phone, something you held in your hand, you will remember much better than these other messages.
That's good. That's true. Okay, here's the next one. 42% of direct mail recipients either read or scan the mail they receive.
They spend a lot more time on it than just browsing the web and seeing an ad come through. You touch every piece. You may stand over the trash can and look at it, but you're going to touch and hold and look at every piece. So absolutely. You can't say that about every ad you get online or in your email box.
Yeah, I mean, if you just did a simple process or a simple comparison of even if they throw it in the trash can, but if you look at the length of engagement or the amount or depth of engagement with a piece of mail they can hold in their hand versus a banner ad they might see for a nanosecond and screen on past it on their smartphone. Most people are on their smartphones or a tablet. There is no comparison. I mean, the level of engagement, the time of engagement with something they can hold in the form of direct mail is enormous. Okay, here is, I think we got 2 more of these. The average response rate, this blew me away, and it's absolutely incredible. But the average response rate for direct mail in 2019 was 4.9% for prospect list. Now that is either, it could be a warm list, could be most instances that is going to be a cold list, and it's 9% engagement or response, not engagement, but actually people responding to the offer, 9% from a house list.
Correct. And that's probably the best testament to anything. We know direct mail is expensive. You're putting a 28 to 50 cent stamp on each one. So you need that high of a response rate. The other thing is just to narrow that down a bit. If you're selling hot dogs or a glass of lemonade, you're probably not going to spend the 30 to 50 cents to send a piece of direct mail. If you're selling dental services or HVAC repair or remodeling, that recompense on the spend is enormous. And those are the people that tend to have the most success with direct mail.
Yeah, and I would say, just based on what I know about the members of the Get Clients Now Nation, Brad, that I don't think I have, as a general rule, people who listen to this show who are selling very low-end items. Most of the people who are listening are either dentists, they're professionals, dentists, chiropractors, some medical doctors like integrative medicine, a lot of consultants. So this is certainly on the higher end of the spectrum as far as the fees for the services they're providing or the products that they're selling. Last bullet point, last fact I want to respond to is 54% of consumers want to receive mail about brands and promotions that interest them.
Absolutely. And it comes down to, and this doesn't just apply to direct mail, but the more that you can segment or target the most likely prospect, the better the response is going to be and the less chance there's going to be a rejection or a negative impact. One of the advantages of direct mail, which I wanted to put in there, is it transcends any of the privacy restrictions that you get online now that are becoming more and more strict with who you can contact, how you can contact, how you get their information. A postal address is public information. You can put anything you want, obviously almost, into somebody's mailbox without violating any laws or privacy information. So again, it's becoming the way to actually prospect without getting yourself tangled into any privacy or restrictive issues.
Right, because as an example, social media has been the rage, and you can actually make a lot of money and do very well for your business on social media. But at the same time, platforms like Facebook, even Google with AdWords and the other, Instagram, all those different things are becoming a lot more restrictive, especially if you have a service-based business, like if you're a dentist or a chiropractor, even in consulting. I mean, the limitations, they're boxing you in. And so the natural progression of this, it's interesting how things come full circle. I think it really is. Things are moving back towards direct mail. There is no do not mail list as far as I'm aware of.
Right. That's very true. And if you haven't done direct mail in the last few years, I absolutely encourage you to do it. Whether you use our marketing add-on or not, you'll get results. Our product just makes it all that much more assured.
Yeah, before I actually was exposed to your product, Brad, I have to say that I'm a staunch advocate of direct mail, but I would always tell people, hey, don't necessarily use that on the front end. Then I came across you. And then there's ample ways you can use this on the front end, the back end, in the middle, all the way around. So let's do this. What in the world, I want to actually dig into this now. What in the world, start off, take a couple minutes and tell us what Direct Mail 2.0 is. And then I've got a series of questions that I want to ask for this. And again, guys, remember, this is not a situation where you're going to pick up the phone. I want you to go to his website, but I want you to go to the website and check out the testimonials, all the people that he's helping. And then at the same time, you want to contact a partner. Find a partner that's close to you who can help you implement this service, this direct mail service. And it's not just direct mail, which you're going to hear in just a second. But I want you to be able to integrate this into your business because it's, like I said, very few things impress me like this. I'm very, very impressed by this. This actually gives me a lot of excitement. So what is Direct Mail 2.0?
All right, Ken. So the easiest way to do this is talk about it at a high level because it's very easy with today's marketing technology to lose people within 30 seconds. So simply put, it's a direct mail technology. It doesn't, what we do is not printing and it's not mailing. Okay, so what we're doing is we're basically taking 7 different digital services and we're timing them and layering them along with at the same time as the direct mail, with the whole goal is to get a lift in the response. Now, let me broaden the scope a little bit. We all are familiar with the major brands like Pepsi and Coca-Cola and Nike and McDonald's and all of these brands. They do something that most smaller companies can't afford to do. They're everywhere. You know their logo, you know their names because you see them online, you see them in print, you see them on TV. They have ingrained their message because they're doing what's called omni-channel marketing. They are
Omnipresence,
marketing on they're in several places at once. Now, they have $100 million advertising budgets. Almost nobody else has that. So what we do is we're mimicking that methodology on a smaller scale. We're taking that print piece, and what we're doing is we're targeting the same people that are receiving that print piece with digital ads. Some of them appear right before they get the piece of mail, some of them right at the time they get it, and then they begin to see ads trailing for 30 or 60 days after they get the mail. Again, the whole goal is the number of impressions, the more you're likely to engage. And I liken it to that movie with Leo DiCaprio called Inception, to where they would go into his dreams and they would plant this seed through ideas and imagery, and the guy would think, oh yeah, I want to do this. So what we're doing, and I'll take a piece of direct mail, and let's say it's to get new clients for your business. So what we do is we take that mailing list and we start delivering social media ads with the same message, the same creative, to those same people a week before they get the piece of mail. They may not even know they're seeing it, but subconsciously, that imagery, they see it a couple of times, then it comes in the mail and they feel a certain familiarity with it. And they're like, wow, okay, yeah, I see that. And then what do people do? 96% of the people, when they receive an advertisement, whether in the mail or in print or anywhere, the first thing they do is they go to the website. So once we go to the website, we ensure that that same message is repeated that they got on the print piece. And then, as most people are aware of, you start following them around with those ads called retargeting.
Right.
We do it on social media. We do it on the Google Display Network. So they may see that same message and same imagery for the next 30 to 60 days, another dozen times. And again, every time it increases the likelihood of engagement. So what happens is we also, there's a phone number always on a piece of mail. That phone number is tied through our platform, and the phone call is recorded. The caller demographics and information is recorded, and it's all provided back to the advertiser, the service practitioner, whomever, so that they can capture that lead for good. The phone call is even recorded, so they can ensure that the people taking the calls are not wasting the customers as they call in. The other thing we do is we integrate with the post office, and we have a series of about 4 different hook points with the post office. We know when that mail piece is being delivered. And we partner with the post office on something called informed delivery. And if your listeners haven't signed up for this, I think it's the coolest thing since the self-adhesive stamp, where you get an email every morning that shows you everything that's going to be in your mailbox. And not only do you see that image in your email that you're going to get in the mailbox that afternoon, but there's a clickable link to where you can click that link and be directed right to that offer before you even get the piece of mail. So it enables you to get another engagement point. So again, most people are getting anywhere from 5 to 25 additional impressions of that one piece of mail for literally a few pennies. So everybody knows, or not everybody knows, but it's a common statistic that to close a sale takes between 8 and 12 contacts. It's when someone becomes familiar with what you're pitching, your brand, they feel comfortable, they've heard of you a dozen times, and they will engage. Well, that's the basis of this product, is to create that engagement urge with the recipient of the mail through these 7 digital technologies. So that, in a nutshell, Direct Mail 2.0 is. I don't know how many people I lost with that explanation, but
no, not at all. Just a couple things I just want to add on to that. Couple different things that are happening here, guys. Number one, with repeated exposure to your marketing message, and you're creating, like he said, you're utilizing omnipresence, which is a marketing strategy. That's going to build your perceived authority in the eyes and the minds of your target prospects. So that's the first benefit to this, in addition, over and above, to getting a lot of new business. Secondly, this is motivating or working intrinsically versus extrinsically. And so, as Brad just mentioned a few minutes ago, like in Inception, you plant these ideas so that people actually believe that they're coming to this conclusion on their own. So if I try to convince someone to hire me, whether I use facts or pressure or manipulative techniques or whatever, which I would never do, those people could, if I can persuade them or convince them, they can actually go back later and convince themselves to not do business with me. That's utilizing extrinsic motivation. If they are motivated intrinsically by all these touch points that they're not necessarily cognizant of, hey, listen, that's the 9th ad I've seen from these people. They're not aware of that. They just notice, I guess if I understand you correctly, it's just, hey, listen, this seems familiar to me. And so you're planting the seed, which is going to lead to an intrinsic motivation, which is a decision they came to on their own. And in most instances, if we come to our own decisions, right or wrong, we will defend them. Even if we know we're wrong, we're going to stick to it. And so in this case, this is a very powerful form of, how can I say this? Persuasive marketing, in addition to all the benefits that I just mentioned. But let me ask you this. Is there a particular, I know a lot of people are listening and they're saying to themselves, hey, listen, this sounds really interesting. This is something I want to look into, but is this going to work for if we don't look at, let me see how I want to phrase this. If we don't take into consideration how much a person is charging, let's assume that everybody has a high value prospect they're trying to target. Are there certain businesses that this won't work for versus ones that will, assuming they all have high value clients or customers or patients?
I have yet to find one it absolutely doesn't work well with, but I can say, because direct mail is expensive and because this is an additional cost on top of the direct mail, that average invoice size matters. So again, you're selling a hot dog or a coffee, it might not work unless it's repetitive, repeat business. But I can tell you some of the most successes we've had are in the services, the medical field, the donations field.
So you mean like
financial markets, mortgages, real estate, housing. Nonprofits do phenomenal with this product.
Okay.
And I think more so because it's the newest, shiniest object out there, and people are bombarded by if you're a high wage earner, you're bombarded by nonprofit requests. So when this product comes in, it stands above and it gets noticed. It's becoming to the point in the nonprofit and the medical services area that not using our product, it's almost a FOMO situation because you're at a disadvantage to your competitor who's using our product and you're not sure. You may be saving 10% on your advertising costs, but they're going to get a majority of the business that's being requested. So the competitor using our product is winning. And that's what we're seeing. We see a competitor in town come to us and say, hey, they're almost upset. They're like, how come we don't know about this service? And why didn't you contact us? Type of situation. So it's becoming one of those, I hope, those norms in the industry. If you're going to do direct mail, which people should in certain industries, then you need to be using this product.
Yeah, especially if you have a brick and mortar business, a high-end service-based business, or a product-based business that's local. It doesn't even have to be local, but you're selling high-end products or services, I think really is what it comes down to, because then the ROI is going to really work out well for you. What about, we talk about lists. Are these, will this service work with rented lists, or will it work with, do I have to have my own house list? Let's say that I'm a relatively new business, but I've got, let's say I'm a new dentist and coming into practice. I just started my own practice and I don't really have my own list. Could I end up renting a list and then we could utilize this service? Talk about that for just a second.
Absolutely, 100%. In fact, it almost matters not. It will improve any marketing action on direct mail, whether it's a house list or a prospect list. One of the things I didn't mention in one of the 7 technologies in terms of this helps generate a list is one of the products we offer. It's called Lead Match, where we take a pixel and put it on the destination website. As I said, a piece of printed mail drives someone to a website. Well, when a person goes to a website, what we're doing, whether they are driven there by the direct mail or they're driven there by Google searches or anything else, we're finding the home residential address to that person and we're giving those back to the advertiser. So they're developing a list, an address list that you can mail to anyone that's gone to your website. So if you're spending money on pay-per-click or through other means, then we capture those residential addresses who then become your prospect list who you can mail to, sort of increasing or expanding the circle. So we help people build lists of interested warm prospects who went to the website of that service provider.
That is invaluable. I've never heard anything like that to that extent. You're combining literally the best of all worlds with this particular technology. This is amazing.
And the nice thing is the technology is very new and it's not perfect, but we're finding an anonymous visitor who goes to a website 40 to 60% of the time, we can find their residential address. Again, no privacy concern. We're not telling you who in that household went. We're just saying that someone in that household went to that website. And there is no concern with dropping a postcard in the mail. And we tell you what pages they spent their time on. So let's give an example. If you're a shoe retailer and they spent all their time on the boot pages, we can tell you that. So you can send a relevant offer in the mail. And those leads can be downloaded every 24 hours. So those are very relevant and very warm. And it's a product that's included with our suite of services.
Okay. And so before I talk about contacting partners and things like that, are there any questions that I didn't ask you, that information you want to cover? Because like I said, my goal is to get people onto your website so they can see the testimonials. You know, a lot of people, and actually I interviewed somebody yesterday on the podcast, very successful business, and I was shocked and disappointed by the fact that he had a bunch of testimonials. This guy's very successful, but none of his testimonials were video. They were all written, and they had no names. They just had the description of the person's role, what they do. And I thought, that looks really fake. Not that I doubt they're real, because I know the guy, they're real. But the fact that you've got so many thrilled customers on your website on video, to me, was just like a home run. I mean, I absolutely love that. I just think it adds so much credibility to what you're doing. Is there anything that I didn't ask before we dive into how do we talk to partners? What's the first step? Walk us through the process of how do we get started with this?
Well, there's two ways. I'm not in the business of taking a printer or an agency that the listeners are comfortable with. But you know what? They can ask their current printer or their current agency, hey, do you offer this service? And if no, how come? And you should. And I'll tell you, hey, I'd love to sign up another partner. So rather than ask them to change their business, I would like to sell this to their current provider. That's the least business disruption for them. I'll be honest, it's a new partner reseller for me. And to me, that's the best result. But of course, they're welcome to go on our website and find someone that does sell this product in their area.
Okay, and so let's look at that from a slightly different angle. Let's not look at this from the endpoint consumer, the dentist, the chiropractor, the small business owner, the consultant. Let's look at this from the standpoint, just for a moment, of a potential reseller who could be someone like a printer or a marketing or ad agency. Is this like a franchise deal where they would buy, by their area, by rights to use this service in their area? How does that work? How do they get started with you?
It's more simple than that. It's a software platform we license that they white label. So if it's Joe's Print Shop, he signs a license with us to use our technology, and he creates his own branding for this, Joe's special print marketing business or tool or whatever. And what happens is we train that person how to sell it, how to use it, and they go off and sell it to their clients. We help them every step of the way with the training. The implementation, there really isn't any other than putting their logo on the thing. And we go so far as we do webinars and lunch and learn. So if Joe's Print Shop has a dozen customers in his area, we say, hey, invite them in. We'll fly in. We'll do the presentation. So we'll sell it to them because, again, it's a difficult thing to understand if you've been an ink on paper guy all your life. And we will help them close their clients on it. And so it's almost a value-added retailer model
Right.
where we help our resellers sell the product.
Well, obviously you want them to succeed because that's going to make you more money. So, I mean, they have to know that you're not just trying to sell them something, you're actually trying to bring them on board with you so they can be successful as well. So let me just ask, I'm going to ask you just a quick question. This just popped into my mind. Is there a way, I've got a pretty good sized platform here. I don't want to get involved with the reselling of all this, but is there a way for me to be an affiliate where I could refer people to one of your partners and I could benefit from this as well? So how do I do that?
In fact, we have an affiliate license to where you work with one of our providers. So you don't have to print or mail or design anything. And they just go through you, and our partner does all the heavy lifting. All you do is drive people to that print partner. They run it through your affiliate model, and then you obviously get some of the benefit from that. So, and we understand that to actually deliver this end to end, we do all the marketing and technology side. The printer and mail house, they obviously have their own heavy lifting to do. But if you just want to be a reseller and drive business and you partner with us and a print partner, that opportunity exists, and we have dozens of affiliates, and you can become an affiliate. So that.
Okay. And so I'll take that one level further, that question. I've got an audience that's not just local. I got people all over the United States, Canada, and Europe that are listening. Actually, some guy just contacted me from Spain last week. I don't have clients in Spain. And so I was a little bit surprised that, the guy's listened to the show and he loved it. And he was talking to me about doing work for him. But how would that work? I mean, how would I actually, because you want the printer, let's say you're using a printer you want that to be a local printer, right? Or how would that work?
It doesn't really matter, but It is better because it develops a relationship. I will qualify this. We are just US based at this point because of our integrations with these other providers, the US Mail, the Google US, Facebook US. We are limited to reselling this product in the United States at this point.
So how would I work as an affiliate if I've got clients all over the United States? I mean, if I got people listening to this show, last month we had over 82,000 people. So, So how would I one printer here, let's say.
Probably the best way for you to be involved is if you have a printer locally and that or you've worked with or that you trust, you become an affiliate for them. So we set up that printer, you become an affiliate for them, and that's how it would work.
So how would they fulfill? Yeah. So I don't think I asked my question correctly, and I don't want to spend much more time on this because it's selfish of me to do this right now. But how would that printer here locally be able to service customers from, say, Michigan or Florida, or see what I'm saying? Because I got people listening from all over the place. How do I? Now
we're assuming that those people in Michigan are only mailing locally. They have a brick and mortar establishment.
Right.
But it happens all the time. What printers do, like you have a printer in Florida who will put everything on a pallet, send it to the postal facility up in Michigan. So it's a one-day thing. It's very, very common in this industry.
Okay.
That cost of shipping or boxing a pallet of stuff to a few hundred miles is minimal.
Okay. That makes sense. Strategies, the partner page, the partner locator page. So I'm going to put the links for that. You got time for one more question?
Absolutely.
What's the one question that I didn't ask today, Brad, that I should have asked?
I am a guy of complete transparency. This sounds great. Everything's great. Tell me some of the, why isn't everyone doing this? What's the downside? Well, the downside is there's nothing guaranteed in marketing. And we've had instances where the response rates have not been, they've only ticked up 2 or 3 points, and they've spent more money. The other issue is that this product relies on the client installing codes on their website. And it has to be timed to where it's on there before a mailing. And we've had timing issues to where they couldn't contact their webmaster. Their webmaster moved on or passed away, and they haven't changed their website in months. And the whole campaign's set, and we can't put the tracking codes on the website, and the whole campaign goes down the toilet. So there are things that can go wrong. And we try very hard to get in front of those things. And sometimes they're difficult. And the biggest one is when the client doesn't have access to their web developer to put these codes on. It takes literally 2 minutes, but if you don't know the password or you can't get on and make a change to your website because some guy from the Philippines did it 6 years ago, the whole thing grinds to a halt. So I always like to manage that expectation. And the other thing that's good, that maybe you would ask is, what's in the future? Where are you guys going with this? This is great. You're cutting edge technology. Where are you going to be in 3 or 5 years? And I can tell you, the buzzword is AI. And what I want to do, because I'm dealing with so many different industries across so many different demographics, that I can create through AI predictive analytical models that will tell clients, hey, I can tell you based on past history of medical professionals in this area of the country promoting to this kind of people, this is what you should be doing to garner the best result. So I can take all of the millions and millions of campaigns I've done across the country and through aggregation, find out what's working and what's not to help them get the best possible campaign because of my visibility in so many industries and so many different campaigns. And that's where we hope to be with this in the next couple of years.
So we'll work on that. Let me give you your website URL. Is there a www or just the HTTP?
It'll work either way.
Okay, so www. And I'm going to put the actual live link in the show notes, but directmail and then the number 2.com. Directmail and then the number 2.com. And then on that page, guys, you'll find a thing at the top that says Partner Locator. I want you to find that. That's going to be the link you want to click that's going to help you find an ad agency or a printer or a marketing company or an individual who's local to you, who can help you get set up with this process. And then also there's a page where he has just like a bazillion testimonials. Most of them are on video. I want you to actually watch them, watch all of them, because if you're like me and if you're like my most successful clients, this is the kind of stuff that excites you and gets you motivated to take action. It doesn't happen often where we come across a technology or a marketing methodology. I do my best to bring them to you guys when I find them. This literally is that new and that effective, and it's working in the trenches every single day, not 100% of the time, but if every piece of the puzzle is put into place like it's supposed to be, this will work, and it'll work like gangbusters for you. So with respect to that, Brad, is there anything you want to add before we wrap it up?
Just to reinforce what you're saying, I mean, if you're going to spend the money on direct mail, it's an insurance policy on that spend that's almost always going to get you a better result. So that's what it is.
That's awesome.
If you're going to spend $3,000 to $4,000 on a direct mail campaign, hey, an extra 10, 15%, it's worth it.
Yeah, and if you think about that, if your average, if your average new patient, as an example, let's look at a dentist or a chiropractor or whatever. If your average new patient's $10,000, this is a no-brainer, guys. And listen, I don't recommend things to you that I don't think are safe. Again, you can't guarantee anything, but I don't bring people on my show who, number one, I am not thoroughly convinced is something you need to take a serious look at. And this is something I want to strongly encourage you to take a serious look at, because it's got me excited. So not just because, I'm in business to make a profit on purpose, but I'm in business to deliver high value service to my clients. That's how I keep them. And so with that, Brad, I want to thank you for being on the show, man. This is awesome. This is absolutely incredible.
Our objective with this podcast is to help you and your business stand out in the marketplace by crystallizing your messaging, marketing, and communications. On behalf of the whole Ken Newhouse team, thanks for listening.